So in triangle number 1, we are coloring between red and orange. Now remember, orange was a medium red and yellow. So what we're going to do today is start with our red. And this time the red's going to be a little bit darker than yesterday's number 2. So it's not as dark as 12, not as light as 2, because we want it to be more red than orange. So we are doing what's called red orange. So this is going to have more red in it than the orange on the right. So we're essentially creating sort of a gradation with color this time. So I did my red. Now obviously you can see it's light. This is lighter than number 12 because this is my pure red. Now when I do my yellow over top, I'm still going to add a lot of yellow because it is a lighter value, but because the red is so dark, this orange is going to be more red than the number 2. So you can see, even with my lights off, you can see the change. So I'm going to label this one. You always call the color by the primary color first. So number 1 is called red orange. And red orange is what's called a tertiary color. So I'm going to write this down here. Tertiary. And I'm going to try my best to recreate that tertiary color. Whoops. Over here, which will be more red than the orange. Basically a darker orange. Okay, so next on the color wheel is our third tertiary, or our third color. So this is between the yellow and the orange. So this orange is going to be more yellow than orange. So I'm going to go really, really light with my red because I like to do my darker color value first. So think of on our value scale, I'm going to find mine and point to it. So when we did gradations, think of this, if I were doing a gradation with just red, I'm going to be in the super light area here. So let me go back and I'm going to make a super light pink with my red. And I'm going to try to use the side of my pencil so it's more blended, not scribbly. Starting to look a little scribbly. So super light pressure on your pencil to get a super light pink. Now I'm going to go over that with my yellow, and I'm going to make the yellow really dark, almost as dark as my number 4, because again, yellow is a lighter value. It's going to get overpowered by any other color. So if I overlay that, this is definitely going to be a more yellow orange than number 2. So now you can see there is a gradation from red, red, orange, orange, yellow. So I am going to label that. And again, yellow is the primary color. So this is called yellow, orange. And I'll do the same thing over here. Very light red, really dark yellow. So you can see these are both orange colors, but the one on the right is more yellow. Okay, so number 5 is between green and yellow. So we're going to add a very, very light highlight of blue, because this is going to be green, but we need it to be more yellow green than blue green. So again, because it's closer to the yellow, I'm going to add a nice dark yellow on top of that blue. And again, yellow is the primary color, so this is going to be called yellow green. I learned from Monsters Inc. that would be chartreuse, I think, right? That limey color. Now, similar to what Kristen was saying, these look very similar, so I might go back into my green and add a little bit more blue so that my green feels a little bit darker than my yellow green, because I went really light with my number 6. So now there's a little bit more contrast. So now I'm going to go over here and again, go really light with my blue, really dark with my yellow to create yellow green or yellow, yeah, yellow green. So that would be yellow green, because you always label it with the primary color first. You guys kind of have the gist of it now. So number 7 is our next color. It's between blue and green. So this is going to be more blue than green. But again, we don't want to go this dark because that's going to overpower the yellow. So I'm going to add more pressure than I did with number 6, but not as much pressure as number 8. So if I start with my blue, I know I don't want to go that dark. I want to go dark, but not that dark. So add my blue. So blue greens tend to be your like aqua marine sort of color. I'll go over with my yellow now. I'm going to go a little bit lighter with my yellow first. It is very, well, it is more blue-green, but I think I might go back over and add a little bit more blue just to make this a little bit richer of like an aqua, you know, kind of watercolor, greenish, bluish greenish. Yeah. Okay. So again, blue is the primary color. So number 7 is blue green. I'm going to go back over here and do my really dark blue, really light yellow, and that is my blue green. So you guys keep working. I'm going to continue on. Between 8 and 10 is number 9. That is a blue violet. If 10 is my violet or purple, then this is blue purple. So again, the same thing I did with the green, I'm going to do with number 9. I'm going to go in with my blue darker than number 10, but lighter than number 8, because I don't want this to overpower my red. So number 9 has a red overlay, but notice it's already darker because my blue is darker in 9 than it is in 10. And I may go back and forth again, add a little bit more blue on top of this if I feel like the red starts to overpower. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. Yeah, I would always say go lighter first with the darker value. You can always go back and forth. So again, 9 is between my blue and my violet. So this would be blue, violet, or purple. I put purple, so I'll be consistent. So over here, blue, purple. And then the very last one is between my red and my purple. So this is going to have more red than blue. So I'm going to go dark with my red, but not as dark as number 12, but pretty close, because I don't want my blue to overpower it. And then I'll go over that in number 11 with blue. So the goal is number 11 has more red in it than number 10. Although the values are off, if you look, and it's hard when you get to the purples to try to show variation if you go too light or too dark. So this is definitely, 11 is definitely more red than number 9, because this is my red violet, this is my blue violet. If I go in here to make this darker, I just got to be careful to make sure it's somewhere in between these two, which is going to be hard, but I'm going to go for it. Just going to go back over that, because otherwise it just looks too light. That looks a little bit better. Okay, so again, 11, red is the primary color, so this is red, purple. I'm going to do that over here. Oh. This time I did the red first because I wanted to control how much blue I put in there. If I go lighter on top of the red, it gives me a little bit more red, purple. And that is our color wheel. I'm going to do one more thing with this. So I asked how to make the color brown. I'm just going to draw a little box over here and just write brown. So if we talk about colors on the color wheel, we've got our 3 primary colors. The color that is opposite on the color wheel, if you look at blue and orange, these are called complementary colors. You know what? I'm going to write this on a new page. I'm just going to write this down. You guys probably already know this, but complementary are opposite on the wheel. So I'm just going to write down. So if blue is my primary, orange is across from it. So that's blue and orange. I do OJ for orange. Yellow and violet. I'll write purple. And then red and green. Notice I always put the primary color first. That's the most important. Those are the most important colors. So complementary are the colors across from each other on the color wheel. They're also red. And if you think about green being the complement, green you made up with yellow and blue. So yellow and blue are the other 2 primary colors from red. So it's another good way to remember what the complementary color is. Think about which one is the primary. Blue is the primary. How do I make the, if I mix the other 2 primary colors, what do I get? I get orange. Those are your complements. It's another way to remember. So I know basically by combining all 3 primary colors or my complementary colors, because it's essentially the same thing, you're going to get mud. And if you've ever painted and you try to change a color and you go over it with the opposite, it starts to get muddy. So I'm just going to demonstrate. So I'm going to go lightly with my red and blue to make my violet or my purple. Right, so that's this color here. Now, if I add yellow, which is the opposite on the color wheel, and again, because yellow is a lighter value, I'm going to go a little bit darker. That starts to make brown. Now, this might be a more sort of tan brown. This is why I was talking about when I use color or paint. We'll actually paint our skin tone to try to match our skin tone. So some students might have more yellow or more orange in their skin tone. So maybe if I start with my orange. Now, no one's skin tone is going to be flat orange. It's always going to have a little tint of blue. So if I add just a little bit of blue, then I might get more of a yellowy color. Now, if I were really dark skin tone, maybe I just got back from the beach. Maybe I'm going to have more blue and more red. So maybe it's a darker value. And then a little bit of yellow to complement, contrast that purple. And if I do this, this is easier to see. If I go like this. So I literally just use the 3 primary colors to get a more yellow skin tone, a medium skin tone, a darker skin tone. This was all made from my primary colors. You guys just watched what I did. And this is how you make brown. Sometimes it may start to look gray depending on the certain values of paint. But this is my lesson for the day.